value judgment versus moralistic judgment. So again, I had shared with you these universal human needs can also be called values, longings, desires, wants. This one, it's called needs and values. On the cards, we have more words here, right? We've got needs, longings, values, desires. Again, you could also call them wants. So when we're looking at values judgment versus moralistic judgment, we're really looking at, am I judging based on these, or am I judging based on some kind of ideological principles of right and wrong, and good and bad? Okay, so let's say that that somebody goes to the grocery store and they grab a bunch of groceries and they walk out without paying. Okay, looking at that through a moralistic judgment, we would say that's stealing, and that's wrong. Most people would say that. I'm not going to say everyone would, right? But that's stealing, that's wrong, that's bad. So that would be the moralistic judgment. Wrong and bad. From a values judgment, we could say that that when this person left the grocery store without paying for what they took from the grocery store, that it didn't meet my needs for respect over here. It didn't meet my needs for consideration for the people who work at the grocery store. It didn't meet my needs for cooperation with the way the grocery store runs. It didn't meet my needs for probably dignity, even for that person who walked out with a bunch of items, for integrity. So I'm mapping it onto these values, these universal values, and saying subjectively where my needs, my values weren't met by that action. So it goes out of the right, wrong, good, bad, and yet there's still a discernment, and the discernment is matching it up to my subjective feeling around these needs or values. Again, the big difference here is that oftentimes with a moralistic judgment, as soon as we go into right and wrong, good and bad, those tend to be also coupled with deserving of reward or deserving of punishment, which then goes into this domination paradigm. This idea of a power over, power under, as opposed to power with. And what we're seeking to move to in the NVC principles, in the compassionate consciousness, is power with, learning to play the game of creating win-wins as a way of life, power with. So as we can move away from this moralistic judgment of right and wrong, good and bad, power over, power under, punishment and reward, and towards really sharing, these are my values, and sharing that in a way where somebody else can be touched, moved, and inspired because they feel resonance with these values. They're universal. This is how we make that movement from jackal consciousness, separation, life-alienating consciousness, into giraffe consciousness, which is a connecting, compassionate, life-affirming way of being in the world.